All right, if you like this video, then subscribe to my channel, but let's get right to it. Sylvester Stallone is retiring Rocky Balboa. I called this in my expanded thoughts when I went and saw Creed 2. It's another video, so if you like this video, you should go check that one out as well. And I'm watching the movie and I'm like, okay, where else can Rocky go after this? I mean, we've seen Rocky in the beginning, 40 years ago, starting his journey. And as it progressed and progressed and progressed, I thought Rocky Balboa, which was Rocky 6, would be the last incarnation of Stallone. And I actually thought that movie was really good. It kind of pulled from the George Foreman comeback in his 40s or 50s, it might have been. And he regained the title, and but obviously Rocky once again lost, but he went the distance, but he got in that movie, which was what was inside of him, deep inside of him, burning, I mean, he'd lost Adrian at that point, so all he had was Paulie, and so his son didn't like being in his shadow, and then wind up helping him out and being in his corner. And then he had met the other person and gave her a job at the restaurant as someone as a hostess. And all. There was this beautiful story going on, but then you kind of went, all right, this is the last hurrah. And I was satisfied with that. And then Creed was announced, and I was like, okay, I love Rocky. I've loved Rocky my whole life, all the movies, every single one of them. I can still watch them to this day, and my hair will stand up on my arms at the climax or when the music starts kicking in and you just get really excited. And so Creed comes out. I'm like, all right, well, he's like Mickey. And I was like, but what more can he do other than to be like Mickey? And then they gave him the storyline where, Adonis Creed was going to be like his family because he didn't have any. At that point, he's visiting the graveyard again, Rocky Balboa, instead of this time talking to Adrian's headstone. Paulie's is next to hers, and he puts a bottle of whiskey on there, or bourbon or whatever. And you're like, oh man, now they're both dead. And then he's still kind of estranged from his son. And you're like, okay, so Creed's going to become like his son. But then, the cancer kicked in. And I was like, okay, so now it's a fight for Rocky to fight for his life and for Adonis to fight to become who he needs to be. And I thought, great story. I love the original Creed. Hair stood up on my arms. The music was great. The whole side story with Tessa and losing her hearing, the whole 9 yards. Creed was almost a perfect film. And at the end of the film, when Rocky is stumbling up the stairs to get to the top after battling cancer, and he's just like, this is a great view. I really thought they were ending right there, at least with Stallone. And if they did bring back and make a Creed 2, Stallone may not be involved, or maybe Adonis would be visiting a gravestone, a headstone in that film, and it would have come full circle. But they managed to find one more story, which is a kind of a rehash of Rocky Balboa, where Rocky realizes he doesn't have anyone left, and he has to fight for Adonis to it's kind of like Rocky 3, where there wasn't like a challenge, like Adonis had finally gotten the belt, but he beat up someone who was a third-year heavyweight defending his title kind of guy, so they were like, he wasn't really a legitimate winner. Had to go through this whole thing with Drago, and here's the thing, it's like with Adonis fighting Drago, kind of avenging his father, becoming his own man, and Rocky at the end of the film going full circle where he didn't have anyone and realizes he's kind of done. There was a beautiful shot in Creed 2 where Stallone, it's the back of him, and it's at ringside, and his jacket says Creed on the back, and he kind of takes his hat and he adjusts it like this and puts his hands down, and everything else is rack focused. And you realize that's it. Rocky's done. This is it. This is a final passing of the torch. And I got all that symbolism from watching Creed 2. And so I knew it was just a matter of time before there was an announcement or whatever. But here's the deal. I just don't think, like I said in my expanded thoughts on Creed 2, there's no more story left. What else could Adonis Creed do? Avenged his father, beat Drago, the son of Ivan, realizes family's more important, becomes a legitimate heavyweight champion, and so on and so on and so on. So, like, what else is there left for even Creed to do? There's nothing, absolutely nothing. I looked at the box office. Creed 2 dropped 65% in the second weekend. It only cost $50 million to make. The first one cost $35 million. So, rule of thumb, you got to double your budget to break even with marketing costs and everything. So it needs to make $100 million to break even. It's made $92 million at the box office after 2 weeks. It's only been released in 3 countries overseas, but you know, one, the Russia angle once again may not play well in Russia, and Chinese box office isn't really kind to these kinds of films, which is the other big cash grab. So it will be released in other markets, but it's not going to make the money the original Creed made. I just don't believe it. After that 65% drop off in the second weekend, I just don't see it. I feel like it's an encapsulated full circle for between Creed and Creed 2 for Adonis. That storyline's done. Rocky is finally retired and he's done. And instead of having his character die on screen, you know, he goes back and he visits his son and reconnects with his son one more time and realizes that he has his own family and he has to be involved with his grandkids. And so you just assume when he hugs his son and then is invited into their home, and that's the last time we see Rocky on screen, that his journey is complete. It's a complete, beautiful, beautiful journey. And I just feel grateful that Sylvester Stallone helped create this character. He fought not to sell the script when he originally was, they wanted to buy the script from him and put Paul Newman in the lead, and he said, no, I want to play this character. And they said, well, we're not buying your script. We're going to give you crumbs and all that. And he just made this character and invented this entire franchise that's encompassed 40 years. I mean, unbelievable, just absolutely unbelievable. And sure, I think Rocky V was the only misstep, but I think it was a misstep in the era that it came out in, because people had moved on from the Rocky. But then just to see it come back with Rocky Balboa, you know, I mean, everything's been done. And, you know, I have a feeling Stallone is like Arnold Schwarzenegger revisiting, and like Harrison Ford, revisiting their iconic roles to give them one last send-off, because they're at the point where they're ready to retire. I can't imagine Stallone, as physically awesome as he is at his age, he doesn't want to keep this up forever. He likes to paint. He likes to do things. And then, you know, he's working on Last Blood, which is the last Rambo film. And I have a feeling, like Hugh Jackman did Logan, we will see, unlike Rocky, who was a more embraced character and loved, the iconography of him in Philadelphia and running up the stairs. And I mean, he even has a statue there. My wife and I went and we visited Philly, and we went to the statue, and I ran up the stairs. Like, there was tons of people running up the stairs. Everybody was doing it. It's a big touristy thing. Everybody runs up the stairs, gets to the top. I did it too. And you get that rush, you get that feeling. And then with Rambo, I think he's going to go out like Logan. I'm saying it first here. This is my first impression. When they do Last Blood, he will die at the end of this film. He's not going to survive, and he will be put to rest. And maybe at the end they'll do a burial with the flag and a 21 gun salute or something like that. I really feel that is where that character's journey will end. But Rocky had such a beautiful story, it couldn't end with like a tragic death, or like with Mickey with a heart attack or something to that nature. So I'm glad they're going to do it. I don't believe there'll be a Creed 3. If there is, you can come back to this video and tell me I told you so, but there's nowhere else for him to go. No one else will be as imposing on Adonis Creed as Victor Drago was in this film. Not a Clubber Lang kid or distant cousin or something else. It's just not going to work. It's done. 2 movies, it's over. The money's not there for them to do a sequel, a 3rd sequel, as far as it stands right now, the box office. And I think this is it. I'm glad Stallone went out on a high note and retired this character. Thank you, Sylvester, for bringing the world this character, and to be able to make him relevant over the course of 40 years, through the Cold War, through everything, and make him an icon, especially for Philadelphia. So thank you, Stallone. We salute you. We look forward to Last Blood and see how Rambo goes out. And those are my thoughts on the fact that Rocky is retired and Stallone is stepping away finally from the role. And if you like this video, you can like it. You can comment below. You don't have to debate me on this. What do you think? Subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you on the next video.